Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Big Monday show lined up today. Tons of great numbers to go over in Major League Baseball with a full betting card tonight. The Aaron Judge story, the injury there, the movement on the AL MVP numbers, the movement on the AL Rookie of the Year numbers after Nick Kurtz's unbelievable Friday night. We'll get into all that. JP Finley on the program coming up in 30 minutes. We're going to preview the NFC East, and our division previews begin today. Chris the Bear Felica, sleepers, disappointments, his best win total in college football in 90 minutes. And Mike DiStefano from Covers.com, they are finding a way to bet the Blue Jays every single day. And this has been quite something now, Paulie, because that's where we're going to begin today in Major League Baseball. They are minus 250 to win the division now. Yankees are plus 255. Add a number on that one. Add a 0 on it for me, please. And the Red Sox are 11-1. These numbers are all at DraftKings this morning. And if you go back again, they were plus money a month ago. They were 20-1 or higher. They have the most wins in July. They were running away with that. And now 20 games over 500. And we know plenty of people in Canada. People come down here to downtown Las Vegas all the time from that area of the country or from other parts that root for the Blue Jays. And the common denominator has been this from every single person has been, this is awesome. I don't know how they're doing this.
Well, they got a very good team. I mean, this is incredible what they're doing. You're right. And now this is a big stretch that starts today. Number one, so much happened over the weekend with the results and the betting odds movement of what's happened. And then with the series that begin tonight, phenomenal. But now they start this game tonight with 9 straight against teams with a losing record. Mm-hmm. But to go from 8 down to 5.5 up, Bichette's hitting, Vlad's hitting, pitching's been great. They're taking out the Yankees. I'm with you on the Yankees. You can find 6-1 to miss the playoffs. We got into that last week, and it's just been, they're rocking and rolling, man. And as we talked about when we came back from vacation, with the way Detroit's playing and the way Toronto's playing, I mean, you have to say they're the favorites right now, and that maybe it's going to be Joe Carter all over again and back to a World Series appearance, because who do you trust other than Skubal in that rotation? And Toronto has a deep rotation, and they have several guys that can hit and mash.
So I was putting together some same-game parlays, or some cross-sport parlays over the weekend. One of the legs was actually the Yankees to miss the playoffs at around plus 550 or 6-1. I think this is absolutely real. This 10-game stretch now without Aaron Judge. I mean, at the back end here, they're going to be getting teams like the Rangers and the Astros. And if he comes back before that Astros series, who knows what kind of shape he's going to be in. Has not been pretty at all for this team. There was a tweet that was making the rounds yesterday from Codified Baseball, which is a great follow, pointing out that the last 37 games, the White Sox and the Rockies each had 15 wins and the Yankees had 14. I don't know how they win yesterday. Yeah. They credit them, actually. They put it together. They got to Zach Wheeler. And they actually somehow won the game as kind of big dogs in that spot.
They're only a game and a half up on our Texas Rangers.
Oh, yeah. And the numbers have been plummeting now.
Yep.
On that team.
6 in a row, 9 of 10. DeGrom goes today. I know they have a tough schedule. Same thing with the Red Sox. But the way they're playing, and I think they'll make a move at the deadline, they're hitting, man. And that's what we talked about. They caught the Braves at the right time. They are so dangerous. If you go DeGrom, Eovaldi to start in the playoffs with what they've done. Now you got DeGrom, Eovaldi, and Corbin going in this series that starts tonight. Playing great baseball. And I want a team that's peaking, and they're peaking right now. And you're right about the numbers plummeted as well. But we mentioned it several times, though. Yep. 50-1 and 22-1 was right there. World Series and American League.
I was also playing this weekend, playing Rangers in World Series Exactas. Just a matchup. I played them against the Phillies on one of them, and you can find high numbers. But they have crashed because I think it was on Friday night. The Rangers to beat the Phillies in the World Series was 350-1 at one spot that I looked at. Right? The next day, it was down, I think, around 200-1. So, I mean, because of how hot that team is, and now Houston getting swept by the A's over the weekend, who saw that one coming? The Astros are down to minus 210 today, maybe even smaller than that at some books to win that division. Mariners on their heels at plus 310, but the Rangers are suddenly 5-1 to win that division.
Yeah.
I think the Stros they're probably going to steady the ship here, and they'll probably make a move at the deadline as well. And what Valdez is going in the game tonight, so you got to like their chances there. They've won 13 straight starts that the guys made. But this is, and don't forget, there is, I'm not going to make a bet based on this, but there was that very quirky 4-year stretch or 5-year stretch in San Francisco when Bruce Bochy was the manager of the Giants. They won the World Series every other year, and they never really had that great of a team. They did it like they were fluky, and I remember that one. That one at bat where I think it was Hunter Pence or somebody like that. The ball, he had a broken bat. The ball hit the bat and then hit the ricochet, the broken part of the bat as well to make sure that he got his. I mean, and he got like a double on that or something. It was crazy, but they won it 2 years ago in Texas. And again, as you've been saying now for a good couple of weeks, you got to like their chances with the 1-2 that they have anchored there in the rotation. Mm-hmm. So it's a long season, man. Crazy things happen. None of these teams go out there and win 120 games, and they're absolute rocks and a juggernaut for the full year. And on the flip side, teams like the White Sox can turn it around and have hot stretches as well. Mm-hmm. Like they have the most runs scored out of any team by 5 runs since the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm. How about the big dumper, $1.60 MVP now? Can you believe that?
I don't even want to talk about it, to be honest.
You knew at some point Judge could get hurt. And how high can he get?
Did we absolutely know that for sure?
Well, you didn't know a catcher could hit 60 home runs, though. And the guy goes deep every night. So it's not so much that there's 6 games over 500, but it's what this guy's doing every single night. And then, whoops, Judge gets hurt. Go from like minus 2,000, minus 1,500, and now higher than 2,000?
Oh, Paul, I mean.
3,000?
Guy I mention here on the show all the time who loves betting futures like I do. Weston, he lives in Tennessee. There was a sports book earlier this year, a couple of months ago, where they were offering every player in the field. At 15-1.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not even, I don't even think it was June yet. He goes, I have to bet that at 15-1. So I think he was like minus 8,000 at the time.
Yeah.
So, Great job. Like this is where I'm going to be haunted by this for a long, long time. I was reliving it again today with my buddy Chad up in Seattle, who reached out to me at the back end of May. It was a night where I was responsible for our 1-year-old Sebastian. Lorraine was out.
Oh, the kids.
I'm busy.
Wife and kids, yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. I'm not blaming him. I'm not doing that. But I'm just going to point out the reality of it. He goes, hey, Mitch, and he had a big night. He's like, we need to get this guy right now. He was 100-1 or higher to win the MVP. And my short comeback was, and not having a lot of time, I'm like, Judge is going to have to get hurt. And this is from somebody who has Pete Crow Armstrong from like April at 110-1. And my whole thing is like, Shohei's got to get hurt. I'm never rooting for an injury, but that's the path that I would need to have happen in order for PCA to win that bet. And I'm taking bombs on every sport every year for long time now. And I'm like, nah, I can't get there with Cal Raleigh. And he's $1.65 today or whatever it is.
That's at Will Hill.
Oh,
Caesars.
my God.
Yeah, good job by Weston, too, just to grab the field. Absolutely.
So, again, long season, right? Mm-hmm. Anything can happen. But I'm not going to get over that one. That's going to take me a couple of baseball years to forget about that, probably.
Yeah. What if he had Kurtz Rookie of the Year? How about Friday night? Never happened before. We got 6 for 6, 4 bombs.
Sure.
You saw
he was minus $3, minus $3.25 before the game on Friday night.
So that's interesting then. After something like that happens, how high do you put the number then?
It's over.
What's the adjustment?
If the guy plays the rest of the year and he goes into the tank and he slumps, he still has to win the award. The immediate discussion on Friday night was, I think it was the best game in the history of baseball.
Yeah, 19 total bases? Something? Come on.
Yeah.
What do we do? Yeah. His OPS is the highest for a rookie since 1900, second highest. 1900, right? 11 of 15, 9 ribbies in that series, and he's got 11 bombs in July.
Well, put it this way. He should be the biggest favorite in any award market in baseball. He should be bigger than Ohtani if he's not to win that award. He should be bigger than Judge, what he was, in my opinion anyway, and bigger than any of these guys to win like the Cy Young. And again, in that neighborhood, we have an emailer, and I have this a little bit later on in the show, including the most amazing stat from Kurtz coming up in about an hour. His name is Chris. I found the email today, June 18th. Mitch, get on this now. Nick Kurtz 50-1 is ridiculous. Again, didn't listen to him. This baseball season is just...
That came in on the email.
I have the email saved. I put it in my notes today.
Yeah.
50-1. June 18th. Said the price is absolutely ridiculous on this guy.
Okay. And one more bad beat. The Blue Jays most wins in July.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was going over those texts and DMs again today.
Okay, right.
Because we were on the air.
So there was a day game or something?
Because it was July 1st. Is that Canada Day?
Okay.
I did not realize that the Blue Jays and the Yankees were a day game. So I thought, well, I'm going to bet them. I'm going to bet the Blue Jays. That's the team that I landed on. I did not because the game started. The market went off the board. Mm-hmm. They were 3 games clear, the next closest team before yesterday.
Yeah. What a season.
Oh, my Lord.
What a season. Still got 2 months left. This is great.
I know.
Had the deadline, right? And we have another scandal now, too. With this guy.
Can you believe this?
Great job. VSiN tweeted it out. Unbelievable job. VSiN retweeted the guy who put it out there about the Class A, the first pitch business again. I mean, again, it's just a bit outside with some of these. Oh, it's bad. We got a game Thursday. Hall of Fame game. Final week to grab the football special. 175 all access pass to every sport we cover through the Super Bowl. 175. Our NFL guide is live. College football guide hits next week. Grab them both. Every pick, every host, every guest, the betting splits, the on-demand shows. Get it before Thursday. VSiN.com/subscribe, please.
Division previews in the NFL starting today on the program. I have strong reasons to believe why the Eagles will be the first repeat division champ in the NFC East in more than 20 years. That's next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
It's good to have you on board, and our discussion here continues on the NFC East and specifically the Washington Commanders. Now we head out to the Progressive Guest Line. JP Finley joins the program, covers the team in D.C. for NBC Sports and 106.7 The Fan. JP, thanks for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing great, fellas. It's very hot, but I can't complain to Vegas boys about heat.
Yeah. No, that you cannot do. Absolutely. I want to start here because we just talked about this division and this team, and we were discussing like how high we're going to be on the offense yet again. Super high expectations. I think Jaden Daniels can be in the MVP mix. I thought he should have been last year. He was so good. But a lot of people who are not buying in are basically saying, well, the negative regression is coming, like the fourth down success will not be there again this year. How does this team avoid that negative regression?
Well, I think you and I are drinking from the same pot, specifically with Jaden. I think when you see regression in the NFL, a lot of it is driven by work ethic and film study, and, you know, a guy is able to kind of rely on athletic skill and what thinks they can keep counting on that. Jaden is one of the hardest working, like most dedicated quarterbacks I'd say already in the NFL. So I definitely don't think Jaden will regress. I think you can make a real case that things should improve. Mm-hmm. One, you add Deebo Samuel, who is a unique weapon, and I mean it's early in camp, but he has looked fantastic. He looks like in really good shape, seems to be in really good spirits. Kind of playing for another contract. You get much better on the offensive line. You add Laramie Tunsil, who's clearly a veteran that knows what he's doing, and then the first-round pick, Josh Connerly, probably slides in at right tackle for them. They drafted this seventh-round rookie running back, this kid, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who likes to go by Bill, and Bill has looked good. I think that's another back to watch for. I think offensively – they could be better. And keep in mind last year, Jaden dealt with that rib injury for like three-ish games that really limited him. You know, health is paramount in the NFL and never a guarantee, but if he doesn't have to deal with like a rib injury, I think the numbers could be better. Defensively, we won't know until we see it on the field, right? But they got much bigger on the defensive line that you could tell that size was a priority for them in free agency. And I think a lot of that was intentional to they were bad against the run defensively last year. So I think they're hoping to be much better. And like for the fourth down numbers, or people want to point to the Hail Mary or something, like there were there were some fluky moments. You catch a Hail Mary, you win a wild card game because a field goal bounces through the goalposts. But like, they also work every day in practice on what they call winning time moments. Like, they do late game scenarios all the time. I'm not sure everybody knows this, but last year when he got the job, Dan Quinn hired a guy from the league office named Dave Gardy. And Gardy's job basically on game days is to, like, he's basically your clock coach. Like, you know, when do we call a timeout? When do we let it run down to the 2-minute? How do we handle these late game scenarios? And I think when you have that investment into late game stuff, and you have a quarterback that stays as poised and cool as Jayden, I think that's why you see a lot of late game success. Now, could the fourth down stuff break a little differently? Yes. But I'd argue league-wide, you're starting to just see much higher margins on fourth down conversions as coaches go for way more fourth downs. And, like, the Eagles are kind of a unique scenario with the tush-push, but, like, I don't think around the league people are asking that same, the fourth down regression for the Lions, right? And they go for it all the time. I think they run this little, like, QB draw to the right-hand side with Jayden with two guards pulling, that if they need 2 yards, that little play almost always gets them 3. And I don't think that's going anywhere. So, you know, you can play, you know, tougher schedule, obviously way more visibility. They're not catching anybody by surprise this year, but I definitely don't see a regression with Jayden, and I don't necessarily see why people are convinced it's happening kind of team-wide.
What's the latest on McLaurin? And do you think this could go sideways?
Yeah, it could. I don't know that it will, but it's not great. I mean, so I was there about 2 weeks ago now when Terry did like a press availability at a car dealership here in D.C. and let it be known how frustrated he was. And I was there yesterday when Terry showed up and came out and signed autographs for fans. He did the same thing today. You know, I think the gap's been pretty big on this. I think the team is thinking 25, 26 million. And, you know, Schefter's report today that Terry's side wants to be paid more than DK Metcalf. You know, if that's true, that would land you at like 34. And if one side's at 26 and one's at 34, it seems like 30 million could be a pretty middle ground where everyone would be happy. And then I'm sure you guys have talked about it. This Cortland Sutton deal is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Just Terry's been way more productive throughout his career than Sutton, but last year Sutton and Terry's numbers are really pretty similar. Terry outproduced them in touchdowns, but their yardage total was like probably within like 10 or 15 yards of one another. And Sutton turns 30 in October. Terry turns 30 in September. Now, Terry's camp will tell you, yeah, but he was older when he was drafted, and he had a redshirt year at Ohio State. Like, he's played less football than Sutton in the NFL. Like, period. Sutton's played 7 years. Terry's only played 6. And Terry's been way healthier throughout his career. He hasn't missed a game in the last 5 years. But, you know, does Washington want to be on the hook for, assuming it's a 3-year extension and the first 2 years are guaranteed, at 32 years old for McLaurin, do they want to be on the hook for 31 guaranteed? I'm not so sure. So I won't be shocked if it ends up landing 28.5, 29, and the guarantees are somewhere, whatever that number would be, like 55 million or something, maybe a little less, 52, 54. But it doesn't seem good. The Terry side seems to kind of be running out of, like, polite leverage, if you will. Like, now he's holding in, so he's reported, he's there. Like, the only next step for them is, like, requesting a trade, right? And then Washington could just be like, no, you're under contract, and we've given you an offer. I mean, you hope it doesn't get that way, but Washington could just say, no, you got to play on this, and we're going to tag you next year, and they could just negotiate based off the tag. You like to think it gets done because Terry is a real treasure in this city, and just a great dude. Like, I've covered him since his rookie year. He's just a really good guy and down to earth. But it does seem like the McLaurin camp used this as their last, big opportunity. A third contract extension in the NFL doesn't happen all that often. It's usually big money. Could it go sideways? At this point, I think you've got to say yes, but I also think they still have so much time before an actual game. Like, even if they get this done a month from now, you're still 9 days before a game. Like, you still have all of August, and maybe cooler heads prevail. They're able to kind of find a compromise.
JP, we're up against it. We have like 30 seconds here. Their win total is 9.5. Their SOS is middle of the pack this year, 14th hardest going into the season. You're going to go over or under 9.5 wins?
I think they get double digits. I'm buying Jayden all the way.
Okay. Very good. You can follow him on X. He is at JP Finley, NBCS, covers the Washington Commanders for NBC Sports and 106.7 The Fan in Washington, D.C. JP, pleasure. Thanks for the time today. We appreciate that.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you, buddy.
And this is from Matt Saint on X, who won Circa Millions a couple years ago. 5 picks a week, took down $1 million against the spread. Basically with a graph as well, pointing out that Washington was the luckiest team of the year last year by a wide margin. I think a lot of that is tied into the fourth down stuff.
Yeah, they're also buttoned up and well coached, though. I even go back to the Week 18 game. Oh, the backup's in? Okay, no problem, ready. Look at Kingsbury. What are you ready to do on fourth down? Bam, go for it, win the game.
Right.
I mean, it's just stuff like that, right? So good. And by the way, Sutton 4 for 92 today.
That's
Extension.
Right. They got it. They're going to have to. I mean, McLaurin's going to have to be there by week 1. And by the way,
I could see that though. If you want to say the offense is going to be better, that could happen.
So. I know.
He's a student of the game. Daniel studies.
By the way, what do you make of this? They're laying 6 at home in week 1 to the Giants. Shouldn't that be 7?
Yeah.
The Giants.
I know.
Stink.
Could be bad. I know. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Could be one of those where we're looking back after week 1 saying, how the hell did I not lay 6 with Washington? And here they win by 4 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So it's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Paulie's going to recap the betting weekend coming up next and win some, lose some. And wait until you hear this stat he has on a baseball team. Find out who it is and the number next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
It's good to have you on board here on a Monday. We're live downtown Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. We head out here to the Progressive guest line now to talk some college football, get some best bets as Chris the Bear Felica joins the program. Big noon kickoff on Fox Sports. The Bear Bets podcast coming out, I think, later on this week as well. Bear, good to see you. How are you today?
I'm well. I'd be a little bit better if those nice numbers on PCA that we would have gotten would be kind of along the lines of what Colorado is right now. And it'd be better if Spain would have won the Women's Euro yesterday. But we're doing good. Football season is rapidly approaching. A lot of homework and just hunting for some good numbers.
Okay, so let's begin here. Then we'll get into your sleepers, some win totals, but maybe a disappointment to begin because a lot of steam and a lot of positivity about Clemson. I'm on them with several cross-sport parlays at this point to win like the ACC. On that leg, I was betting them at plus 110 in those parlays. But you think there's a chance here that this team is getting too much hype?
I think there is, but I don't necessarily hate your ACC bet there. Remember, last year they went under their win total and won the ACC. It very easily could be a similar type situation this year where maybe they'll lose to LSU, maybe they'll lose to South Carolina, maybe they'll lose to one ACC opponent, and they wind up getting to Charlotte and winning the league. But I almost wonder if we're giving them a little bit too much credit for having such a great college football playoff first-round game against Texas where maybe they kept it closer than some people thought. They were handed some early points in the ACC championship game against SMU. I hate sounding like, oh, they won the ACC, but what did they really accomplish? You look at what the regular season, you got blown out in the opener against an SEC opponent in Georgia. You lost on your home field to South Carolina. You're kind of non-competitive against Louisville on your home field. You stole a game against Pitt that you had every right to have lost. Like, they were that close last year to kind of be an 8-4. And so you look at the schedule this year, you got the LSU opener, albeit on your home field. You got to go to Louisville. You got to go to South Carolina. We think BC and Georgia Tech will be kind of scrappy teams. They got SMU granted at home again. I don't know. I see a path and an avenue where they potentially could lose 4 games or so. Mm-hmm. Now, I know some of their defensive woes from last year and giving up a lot of yards on the ground. People who studied this stuff a lot more than I do think that Tom Allen coming in as defensive coordinator will really solve a lot of those issues. So I don't necessarily hate your bet to win the ACC, but I took the plus money on under 9.5.
So you're very objective on Miami. You'll say, yeah, this team's not doing anything. They have a long season, or watch out for Miami. But a lot of people down on Miami, or at least not buying that Beck can come in and the offense can be great, and they couldn't stop anything last year. What do you think of the Hurricanes this year?
I think this is going to be a very good year, a very good season for Miami. I have some, obviously, people within the athletic department that I have known for a while and are always straight shooters with me, and they tell me that Miami's going to be legit good this year. Their offensive line is going to be one of the top 3 to 5 offensive lines in the country. They're deep at running back. I think they feel good about JoJo Trader and a couple of other weapons they have on the outside. Bringing in Corey Heatherman, defensive coordinator from Minnesota, will solve a lot of problems. They did a ton of revamping in the portal. They should have a very good secondary. Bringing in Turry, the linebacker from Rutgers, he's going to have an impact. They went all in, and we'll see if it pans out. We'll kind of know right off the bat, but I think if you look at Carson Beck as well, I think people are forgetting how good of a year he had in 2023. Now, you can say, oh, we had an all-time great roster at Georgia, and he had Bowers and he had McConkey. But last year was just one thing after another. Georgia couldn't stay healthy at running back. Georgia couldn't stay healthy on the offensive line. Georgia had a couple of wide receivers kicked off the team. Beck couldn't stay healthy himself. And despite all of that, he still led them to an SEC championship. So I bet Miami to win the ACC at plus 400. I bet Carson Beck to win the Heisman at 33-1, and we'll see what happens, because the reason why I like the Beck bet at 33-1 is because if they do beat Notre Dame in that season opener, you're going to see that price slashed, and they still have a couple of other opportunities on the slate to get some big wins. They do get to Charlotte. I think you will see him invited to New York. And the one thing about the Heisman betting this year, last year I obviously had the Travis Hunter bet. But I think this year, after seeing Hunter win last year, wide receiver / DB, you might see voters go a little bit more towards the traditional route of quarterback, running back type deal. So we'll see. But I am high on Miami last year. And as you said, Paulie, if you followed my timeline last year, I was pretty critical of some of the game management and some of the defensive lapses they had. But I feel good about the Canes this year.
Is Beck your first bet to win the Heisman? Have you bet others? Are you looking to bet others at this point?
I've made 2. I've made the Carson Beck bet, and I also bet Jeremiah Love at 40-1. That was the best number I had access to here in Connecticut, and it's kind of the same thing along with Beck. I think if Notre Dame winds up winning that game, he's the best player on Notre Dame on their offense. Mm-hmm. He's going to start to kind of get the hype. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, young quarterback. You're not going to see Carr ultimately win the Heisman Trophy. But I think behind that offensive line, you beat Miami and or Texas A&M early on, you're at Notre Dame, you will be in the playoff. I think he has a chance to not only get to New York, but have a great year and potentially win this thing at a right number. I would not be betting Arch Manning as a favorite. I wowould not be betting Jeremiah Smith at the price that they are. All these short prices that are Sam Levitt, I just can't get behind any of these 10-1 or shorter type numbers right now.
Do you have a sleeper for us?
I think Houston could be a very live sleeper in that Big 12. I mean, we saw last year how Arizona State was picked last in the conference, and then they wound up winning. Willie Fritz, I love him as a head coach and how he can kind of rebuild teams. Offensively, they were terrible last year. Brought in Connor Wegman, At quarterback, their win total is 6.5 at plus money. Maybe you dabble a little bit to win the Big 12 as a long shot price, just like ASU was last year. The thing that I like about Houston is more so for the win total is if you look at the schedule, they play some of the teams that are expected to be the worst in the league. They play Oklahoma State. They play Arizona. They play West Virginia. They play UCF. Those are like 4 teams that they very easily could beat. So I think there are a lot of wins on that schedule. They could be undefeated when they host Texas Tech earlier in the year. So Houston, the Cougars over 6.5 at plus money is something that I hopped on.
Okay, so that's a couple of win totals so far. Would you classify either one of those, like the Miami win total or the Houston win total, the Clemson one, as your favorite, or do you have one out there still you're like, oh boy, this is an awesome number and I absolutely love this bet?
Yeah, there are 2 that I liked a heck of a lot more at certain numbers. One you're going to have to search in faraway places for, and that is Illinois under 8.5 at minus 160. There's plus money at under 7.5 available widely, but if you look around offshore, you can find an 8.5 at like minus 160 or so is what I saw. Like, I don't get like this college football playoff talk for the Illini. You look at last season, you got an overtime win against Nebraska, an overtime win against a dreadful Purdue team, a complete miracle comeback against Rutgers. Kansas handed them the game early in the year. I know Altmaier's coming back, but you lose all your wide receivers. Your running backs can't seem to stay healthy. You lose and you rebuild your entire defensive line. Now, I look and I think you were close to being 5-7 for it. It was 6-6 last year. You look at the schedule. You're at Duke early in the year, and Mensah is one of the better portal transfers this year at Duke. At Indiana, USC, Ohio State, at Washington. Those are all games that they could very easily lose. Maybe the game in Madison that maybe Wisconsin beats their old head coach up there. But to pay the tax and go under 8.5, to go 9-3 to beat me, I did that. And the other one in the same league, Minnesota over 7.5 at plus money. I think at this point you kind of have to just year in and year out trust PJ Fleck for what he does with his program, the mentality, the culture, and the way he builds his team. It's going to be a little bit different for the Gophers this year. I think they're going to be continue to be more of a pass to set up the run type program, which is what they kind of were last year. And if they get the quarterback play from Lindsey, like I think they can, you look at the schedule, it's very manageable. They're not going to beat Ohio State. They're not going to beat Oregon. But at the same time, every other game is doable. They had some brutal losses last year in just ridiculous ways. The North Carolina game, the Michigan game, the Penn State game, all were winnable, and they still had a great year. 7.5 going over at plus money for Minnesota. I'm high on the Gophers this year.
Awesome. Very good. You can follow Chris on X, of course. He is at Chris Felica. Bear Bets podcast coming out later on this week as well. Love talking to you today, Bear. We really appreciate the time. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much.
Let's do it again soon.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
There you go. And he was on the Progressive Guest Line. And, of course, that also means that big noon kickoff on Fox Sports, not that far away.
Can't wait.
Good analysis. Very good analysis, as always, from the Bear, with some good 5 or 6 bets there as well. We'll continue. We'll talk Big 12 up next. This happened in 43% of their conference games last year, which is nuts.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Busy hour on tap. We'll preview tonight's Major League Baseball card coming up in 15 minutes. The NFC East at the bottom of the hour. Best bets coming up to close up shop. Right now, we head out to the Progressive Guest Line to talk some Major League Baseball, specifically the Toronto Blue Jays, as Michael DiStefano joins the program. He is with Covers.com. Michael, thanks for the time today. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm doing well. It's a good time to be a Blue Jays bettor right now with the way that they're firing. So I'm doing a lot better now than I was a couple months ago. I can tell you that.
It's a great time. No question about that. You guys are doing something really cool. You're finding a way to bet every one of their games here, and it's been quite successful. I want to before we get into the betting, downtown Las Vegas, very popular for Canadians. We know several people who live up in that area as well. Talking to them, they're like, this is great, man. We can't get enough of it. But I don't know how they're doing it. Do you kind of agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of people are shocked and surprised. Like when you look back to how, a lot of this fan base expected the season to go, they thought maybe they'll compete for a wild card spot. Like I think everyone expected the Yankees and the Red Sox to be up there, the Rays. A lot of people expected the Orioles to be a much better club too. So I think if you would have asked Blue Jays if they had to place a wager, first place or last place in the division, I bet you most people would have went with the latter than the former. But here you are coming out of the All-Star break. They've won 8 of 10 in an incredibly difficult schedule. Like you got the Giants, the Yankees, the Tigers, and look at the pitchers that they've taken on in that stretch. And I think they're 5-0 against like Verlander, Robbie Ray, Tariq Skubal, Rodon. Like it's crazy what they've been able to do. They just continue to put together quality at bats time and time again. They went on that 10-game winning streak right before the All-Star break, and they picked it up with a nice little stretch here on the backside of the break too. So things are looking good for the Blue Jays right now.
When you have a stretch like this and you're 37-15, would you say don't do anything, or do you expect them to be active at the deadline?
I do expect them to be very active at the deadline. Like it's interesting because it's kind of a fine line that they're going to have to walk, but ultimately I think this is a push the chips in type of deadline for them. And I don't think it's offensively. Like I think they just need to go out and acquire some arms. And that's ultimately what wins you baseball games in the postseason, right? You go and you try and acquire the best pitching you possibly can. So if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm probably not doing much with the lineup that's been on fire. Like we're talking about a team that's batting .307 as a team because since the All-Star break. And, they've been incredible, whether it's Vladdy, whether it's Bo, whether it's George Springer's having a resurgent season, guys like Ernie Clement and Addison Barger coming out of nowhere and putting up some numbers. So if you are the Blue Jays, I think they're probably going to be focusing on the pitching part at the trade deadline. And if I were Ross Atkins, I would probably say, okay, I think we need to add some nice high leverage relievers, maybe 2 if you possibly can. And maybe you go out and try to acquire kind of a top end rotation type of piece, someone who you feel comfortable if he has to make a start in the postseason. So if I'm Ross Atkins, and they've got a nice arsenal of pitching prospects and prospects in general, some young MLB controllable talent as well, and money. Like Rogers is a big telecom company in Canada that owns a team. They're willing to put money behind this club. They just spent $500 million on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They spent another few billion on some renovations. They're waiting for this team to pop off. So I think when they know, okay, this team is proving to us they're worth investing in, I think they go all in and make some big time additions. I think they'll make a big splash here in the next few days.
Good answer. Michael DeStefano, our guest, covers.com. They're finding an angle to bet with every single Blue Jays game here. So what's been working for everybody involved with this? You, everybody else at covers.com. Are you guys finding props every night that have been successful for you? Or is it that maybe the market has been dead wrong on this team during this blazing hot streak that they're on? For example, tonight they opened up. Now, Bassin hasn't been great on the road. They opened up $1.20 against this Orioles team with Zach Eflin on the mound tonight. I'm looking right now as low as minus 107 on it doesn't feel to me like the market has believed in the Blue Jays at all.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why that's the case either, because like Zach Eflin has not had a terrific career against the Blue Jays either. Like I'm looking right now, these guys are slugging against him pretty good. Vladdy specifically, 7 for 21, couple homers against him. So he's someone I'm betting tonight to get on base. I like his bases props. A guy like George Springer, who's been hot. He's someone again who's batting. He's got a 750 OPS career against Zach Eflin. And those are the types of guys that we have been betting. Like you look at what's gone on over the course of this run for the Blue Jays. George Springer's been a huge catalyst of it. He's got a 500 on base percentage since the All-Star break. Well, he's getting on base, and then guys like Vlad Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Addison Barger, Alejandro Kirk, they're bringing him in to score. He's been on base 8 straight games Springer has cashed on his runs prop, going over half a run or 1+ run prop. He's got 12 runs scored over the last 8 games in that stretch. So I've continued to kind of back that prop and pound that market. Vladdy, he's really heating up right now. So his basis props are unbelievable right now, as well as Bo Bichette's been a player that I've been backing pretty heavily as well.
What do you think about Bassett tonight overall? Because I've seen people make the case tonight for his K prop to go under. His road numbers are much worse than when he's at home. And I know Paulie here has a bet on him to give up
over 2.5
runs because his ERA on the road is almost 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. His home road splits haven't been great throughout the season. So, Bassett, it's interesting because the Jays are winning a lot of the games, but they're doing it in spite of some starting pitching kind of struggling a little bit. They've been kind of the comeback heroes in a way this year. And, I think it's probably a decent play. Like, I'm not backing Bassett when it comes to his runs prop. I think the over could touch that. He's struggled a little bit over the course of the last 6 weeks or so when it comes to kind of limiting it. The home runs have been a bit of an issue for him. So that might be a play that I stay away from. But what he is doing is he's at least pitching deep into ball games. And he's good for a quality start, typically going 6 innings. So if you can get 17.5 outs for him, you want to go the outs market, that's a plausible play. But yeah, when it comes to the runs, it's a dicey game for a team that can kind of hit homers. And for some reason, the Jays have struggled with the Orioles. Like, I know this year hasn't been a great season for Baltimore, but they've played well against Toronto. And they typically do. I don't know why the Jays seem to struggle with this lineup, but they struggle, which is probably why the price is kind of factored into that, why the books are given some heavy lean towards Baltimore, despite them not having a great team. They always seem to show up against the Blue Jays, it seems.
All right, so officially tonight, Michael, you have how many bets on the game?
I got 3 bets on tonight's game. Three bets on my bet card for my SGP, if you will, and that's what I've been doing. I've been putting together a nice little SGP. So, like I mentioned, I do have Bassett pitching deep. I think that he just consistently goes out there and he's able to get out. So I can see him getting to 17.5 outs, get through 6 innings as he typically does. Vladdy, I like Vladdy's base prop too. He's picking up 2+ bases quite often. He's batting .421 in his last 10 games, and he's been able to cash in a lot of runs too. Some RBI props could be out there for him. But to me, the one bet that I've been pretty much cashing in on every single day has been George Springer to go over half a run or score a run, 1+ runs. Like I said, 8 straight games that bet is cashed, and you can get that at a fair price depending on what book you're looking at. It seems like since he's been put in the number 2 hole, he seems to be scoring each and every game. So as long as he remains in the number 2 hole in the lineup, I'm going to continue to smash that bet.
Very good. You can follow him on X. He is this is a great handle, at Mickey_Canuck with covers.com. They're betting Blue Jays games every night, finding different angles. I love it. That was a great analysis. Thanks so much for the time today. We appreciate that.
Absolutely, guys. Anytime.
Thank you.
Michael DiStefano, and he was on the Progressive guest line. Yeah, good stuff about Springer there, too. And by the way, that's a good example there, Paulie, of when you pay attention to one team specifically, doesn't matter the sport, and you can know that team inside and out, how you can capitalize it from on a betting perspective.
Yeah. As he mentioned, the issues they've had against them hasn't been all teddy bears and ice cream. 3-3 this year head-to-head. The issues in Baltimore, not only for them, but also Bassett. He has an ERA of 7 career in Baltimore. Bichette on fire, Vlad on fire. Vlad 4.62 last 14 against Baltimore. Bichette 3.67, 16 ribbies last 19. So you keep going with those props here. Vlad, Bichette, the Springer thing, as he mentioned, they've been great. And to go from 8 down to 5.5 up with this 37-15 stretch. And it's to the point now where you'd be more concerned about Boston than the Yankees, I think. You've already won a season series, so essentially you're 6.5 up now because you have the tiebreaker over the Yankees.
$7 tonight, the Blue Jays in this game. Some money on the Orioles. Okay, Eflin on the year, 2.1 home runs per 9. ERA almost 6. The Ks per 9, around 6. The O's bullpen, 4.69 ERA. That is 25th overall in the league. Not great. This total has moved, by the way, from 9 to 9.5, and I wanted to make a case for the over on 9 because of that, Eflin. And by the way, Michael's breakdown of if they're going to make a move at the deadline, probably going to be for a starting pitcher. That's what you're going to need come October. The offense is fine. I would agree. I think they scored tonight. And to your point and to your bet, I think the Orioles, how many lefties are they going to trot out there tonight? I'm sure the lineups are out. I haven't seen them yet. They're probably going to go with, 5, 6 lefties tonight if they can?
Yeah. O'Hearn, 538 career against Bassett. Henderson, 400. And all these Toronto guys continue to rake as well. There's $1.20 now with DraftKings on the game.
Okay, so it did move a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. But it's a hard way to it because it's a big total. So I just think they'll get to Bassett. Go first 5 over, but Bassett over 2.5 earned runs -130.
Yeah, he's going to see plenty of lefties tonight. Yep. All right, so we'll continue. Major League Baseball up next. This is as big as it gets for a series in late July, and Game 1 starts off with a phenomenal pitching matchup.